I'm 78 years old. That number feels heavier than it looks written down. My hands feel it more than my head does. Some mornings I wake up already tired, not from sleep, but from memory. There are things I did in my life that I'm proud of, sure. But that's not what stays with me when the house is quiet. What stays are the things I wish I had stopped sooner. Not big sins, small habits, quiet choices. The kind you don't notice while you're making them. I didn't think time would close in like this. I always thought there would be room to fix things later. There wasn't. The first thing I wish I had stopped sooner was waiting to feel ready. I spent half my life standing just outside my own life, telling myself I'd step in when the timing was right, when I had more money, when work slowed down, when the kids were older, when I felt more confident. I kept postponing conversations, decisions, apologies, dreams, all because I didn't feel ready. I see now how convenient that was. Waiting felt responsible. It sounded mature. But most of the time it was just fear dressed up as patience. I remember being in my 30s, sitting in my car after work, engine off, just staring through the windshield. I wanted to go inside and talk to my wife about how distant we were becoming. I could feel it slipping, but I told myself I was too tired. I'd talk tomorrow. Tomorrow came and went. Then years did. I waited to feel ready to change jobs, even though I hated the one I had. I waited to feel ready to spend more time with my kids, even though I could see them growing taller by the month. I waited to feel ready to say no to things I didn't want and yes to things I did. Readiness never arrived. Time just kept moving. If I had stopped waiting sooner, I would have lived more of my life while it was actually happening. The second thing I wish I had stopped sooner was confusing being busy with being important. I wore busyness like a badge, long hours, full calendars, always rushing. It made me feel needed. It made me feel valuable. If I was exhausted, at least I was exhausted for a reason. I told myself I was providing, and I was, in a way. The bills got paid, the lights stayed on, but I missed so much that can't be put on a resume. I missed weekday dinners because of one more thing at the office. I missed school plays because meetings ran long. I missed quiet moments that never announced themselves as important until they're gone. I remember my son asking me once if I could help him with something he was building on the floor. I told him, "Not right now, buddy, maybe later." He nodded and went back to it alone. Later never came. Not that night. Not really ever in the same way. I didn't realize it at the time, but busyness slowly taught the people I loved not to expect me. And once that lesson sinks in, it's very hard to undo. Now my calendar is empty. Too empty. And I'd trade every productive year I had for one ordinary afternoon with the people I kept waiting. The third thing I wish I had stopped sooner was avoiding hard conversations. I was good at keeping the peace, or at least I thought I was. I smoothed things over. I stayed quiet when something bothered me. I told myself it wasn't worth the conflict, that silence was kindness. What I didn't understand was that silence doesn't erase problems. It just buries them, and buried things have a way of rotting. There were things I should have said to my wife years before we stopped being able to hear each other. Not accusations, just truths, simple, vulnerable truths about loneliness, about feeling unseen, about wanting us to try again. There were things I should have said to my parents while they were still alive. Gratitude I assumed they already knew. Questions I thought I'd ask someday. Someday never showed up. I avoided difficult talks with my children too. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be the steady one. But clarity would have served them better than comfort. Now, at this age, I understand that hard conversations are only hard before you have them. Avoiding them costs more in the long run. It costs closeness. It costs understanding. Sometimes it costs the relationship itself. I thought I was protecting everyone. Mostly I was protecting myself. The fourth thing I wish I had stopped sooner was living as if there would always be more time. This one hurts the most. I planned my life like time was an unlimited resource. Vacations could wait. Visits could wait. Forgiveness could wait. Rest could wait. I remember my mother's voice on the phone, telling me she was tired, telling me she missed me. I told her I'd come by soon. Work was busy. Life was busy. She understood. She always understood. Soon turned into later. Later turned into never. She was gone before I made the time. I lived like death was something that happened to other people far away in the abstract. Not to the people I loved, not to me. Now death feels close, not frightening, just present, like a neighbor you nod to in passing. And time feels precious in a way I can't explain to someone younger. It's not dramatic, it's sobering. If I had truly understood how little time there was, I would have spent it differently. I would have been more generous with it, less careful, less efficient, more human. The fifth thing I wish I had stopped sooner was measuring my worth by what I produced. I tied my identity to what I could do, earn, fix, provide. When those things went well, I felt solid. When they didn't, I felt like I was failing as a man. I didn't know how to just be, to sit, to listen, to enjoy something without turning it into a task. When I retired, the floor fell out from under me. The titles disappeared, the routines vanished, and I didn't know who I was without them. It took years to realize that I had always been enough, even when I wasn't achieving anything. But by the time that lesson landed, most of my life was already behind me. I see younger men now running the same race I ran, chasing the same approval, carrying the same quiet exhaustion. I want to tell them to stop, but I know how it sounds. I wouldn't have listened either. All of these things crept up on me slowly. That's the dangerous part. There was no single moment where I ruined my life, just thousands of small decisions that felt harmless at the time. The turning point came when my wife died. It wasn't dramatic, no big speeches, just a hospital room, a soft beep of machines, and her breathing slowing until it stopped. I held her hand, and for the first time in decades, there was nothing else demanding my attention. After the funeral, I came back to an empty house, her coffee mug still by the sink, her shoes by the door. The quiet was unbearable. That's when the weight of everything I'd postponed finally hit me. All the conversations we never finished, all the time I assumed we had. I realized that the life I'd been preparing for was already over. There are things I can't fix now. I can't go back and be more present when my kids were small. I can't hear my parents' voices again. I can't undo the distance that grew where closeness should have been. Acceptance comes eventually, not all at once, in pieces. Some days are peaceful, some days are heavy. If you're listening to this and any of it feels familiar, I'm not here to give advice. I'm not qualified for that. I just know what it feels like to look back and see how much was lost by waiting. If this meant something to you, hold on to it gently. That's all. As for me, I'm learning how to live the time I have left without rushing through it, sitting more, remembering more, letting the quiet be what it is. At 78, that's enough.